Try to complete on time. Okay, Saswat, start the presentation.
Sir, एकछिन है यो slide change गर्नु. सुरज म एक्चुअली फेरि रिक्वेस्ट गर्छु है कन्ट्रोल भएन.
के भयो शाश्वत के भयो
एकछिन है यो अलि स्लो भयो जस्तो लाग्यो
क्या इनेबल एडिटिङ भन्नेमा अचार्नुहोस् त त्यसले गर्ने बेला सजिलो हुन्छ यो इनेबल एडिटिङ भन्ने चाहिँ त्यसलाई रिमुभ गरेर त्यहाँ क्लिक गरिदिनुहोस् एरो नेक्स्ट गर्नुभयो भने नि तपाईले त्यो एरोबाट चल्नुहोस् स्लाइड सजिलो हुन्छ
यतिकै गर्दिनु कि स्लाइड शो
हुन्छ यतिकै गर्दा पनि हुन्छ ल ठीक छ ह्याङ भयो यतिकै गर्नुस् ल स्टार्ट
Good morning everyone. Today me and my friends are here to discuss or give a presentation on problems in the field of electrical engineering in Nepal. This presentation was prepared by Sandesh, me, Suraj and Suraksha. We will be beginning with the potential of Nepal, what we have in the current date. So the Nepal has a high potential of water resource potential of generating 45,610 megawatt feasible hydroelectricity. Looking upon our economy, hydropower sector is the most efficient in generating electricity. So our problems will be revolving around the hydropower electricity generating problems. So as per 2019, the total installed capacity was 1128.69 megawatt and the demand stood at 1320 megawatt. Still 20% of Nepal's total population are deprived from electricity. So due to this inadequate generation, our economy has been hampered. The annual demand increases every year by 9%, and Nepal is expected to reach 2,379 megawatt by 2022 and 4,280 by 2030. Now we'll be talking about the energy uses mixture, what we have here in today's date. As we can see the bar graph, the major energy source that we have been using is firewood. This can clearly explain that our economy is still dependent upon the traditional fuels that were used in the past and are still being used. So our country does not have its own gas or coal reserve. So dominantly hydropower electricity or hydropower plant is the source of energy that we are dependent upon. The generation of electricity is dominated by hydropower plants, and some amount of contribution is done by solar power plants. Thus, our problems and concern will be revolving around the problems faced with generation, transmission, and utilization of electricity. So that's all from my part, and now my friends will continue the rest of the slides.
मैले मात्रै नसुने कि तपाईँहरू कसरी सुन्नु भएको छैन? साउन्ड अफ भयो त अचानक।
अघिसम्म त सुन्नेकै थियो सर।
किन यो डिस्टर्ब भयो? सुरज केही समस्या भयो?
Hello.
सुन्याछ।
Sorry for the disturbance. Our friend got a network problem, so I'm continuing from here.
Okay.
And we are talking about the electricity problem in our country, Nepal. So here, the electrical power status. We have in the current situation, there are 94 projects which will be where 1250.46 megawatt were running, and in under construction 3157 megawatt is still in under construction position, where from thermal plant we can generate 53.4 megawatt, where from solar plant 1.35 megawatt, and from to fulfill our power demand, we have imported an electricity from our neighborhood country India. And here is the chart about the energy balance, and the per capita of our own consumption is 174.18 kilowatt hour, where production is only 148.35 kilowatt hour, where import is more than export. So import data is 76.03 kilowatt hour. And about the complexity of electrification in our country, around 17% of population in urban areas are existing, where in rural areas there are 83% of our population, total population. Where integrated Nepal power system INPS connected only 65% of that total power, and we have only generate our alternative energy as 3% only. For remaining rural electrification, it should have too much investment, where there are many problems in the construction line and too little return supplier side. So high cost, limited awareness and knowledge in only customer side. And the target of Nepal National Water Plan for hydropower development are by the 2027 Nepal Electricity Authority has planned up to 4,000 megawatt hydropower development, where 75% of that will be supplied by INPS, and 20% will be isolated by hydropower, where 5% will be from alternative energy. As per the capita, over 400 kilowatt hour. For the revenue or the economic of our country, electricity will be exported from our country to the neighborhood country. and the challenges we will face in power management are before 2018 load shedding was existing up to 12 hour to 16 hour, as we are so related in that problem. Load shedding in due to proper management and input from power from India. So here the main solution is that management should be in a proper manner. Due to the management, we are facing up to 18-hour load shedding in the past year. Now that management has been solved, as we know, the person Mr. Kulman Gising, he has managed all the department, so we are getting our electricity supply 24/7. And the main component of the electricity development is generation, transmission, and distribution. As we discuss about the generation, and the main things is transmission and distribution. Without the medium can transfer any component, any signal, or anything. So transmission and distribution is the main way to transfer the electricity from the generation to the customer side. So you can see the way where there is a power station or generation station, and we can step up that power, low voltage power, through the step up transformer, and we transfer that power to the distribution side, and from here we can transfer the power to the customer side. And the Nepal Electricity Authority is responsible for developing and operating Nepal's high voltage transmission line. As we know that we can see the high tension tower in different areas of our country, which is used for the transmission of high voltages from the generation to the distribution side. However, construction of transmission line has been slow. More than 60% of transmission lines with various voltages are being constructed in the country, of which only almost 30% are completed. That means we are lagging in the construction of transmission line, but we are progressing so slowly as the tortoise is working. So transmission line construction has been delayed by disputes regarding land acquisition, getting permission to construct in forest areas, lack of timely payment to contractors who have completed their work, and security problems. And these are the main mostly related problems and obstacles we face in our country to develop our construction of transmission line. And here is the table of the high voltage side, high voltage level, which has been transmitted from the generation side to the distribution side. As you know, the for the 400 kilovolt level, the existing length of transmission line is 78 kilometer, and where 220 kilovolt is has existing length of 150 kilometer, and 130 kilovolt of voltage level exists only 2415 kilometer existing length. And here in the distribution side, we all know about the geographical structure of Nepal, which are mainly covered by hills, about 65% of the total land area, which creates so many obstacles to create land transmission tower, and to construct that and to transfer the electricity from generation to our customer side. Houses in such area are located Houses in such area are located in far distances, which create the difficulty in distribution of electricity. Mainly in rural areas, transportation of distribution equipment like transformer, poles, wires, etc. is difficult. As we know, there is no access of most transportation in our hilly region and mountain region, as as we have access only from the airways, so it is more difficult to transport the main component to as we see transformers, poles, wires. Losses occurs due to such distancings are more. So till now there are some villages where electricity still doesn't exist. So we all know in the news that many of the villages or the in some district electricity source doesn't exist there. They don't know what is electricity, and they are only depending on the fire or natural resources, and the operational costs are so not also not recovered by the revenue earned. So uh, so due to the loss in electricity, there will not be any revenue. So to construct the transmission and distribution lines in such remote areas is more costly. So these are the problems that are happening in our currently situation in Nepal. And here you can see some of the under construction transmission line tower where the structure and the geographical structure of our Nepal, where all the lands are in landscape side. So it is more difficult as we imagine, as we expect. So from now, I'm leaving this slide to my colleague Suraksha Lama. Thank you.
Now let's see the utilizations of the electrical power in Nepal. Till now, the electrical power in Nepal has been utilized to make the country load setting free, to meet the peak demand, and for the electrifications of the rural areas. As of now, the production of the electricity is about to meet our peak demand. Along with it, the rural areas are also being electrified. So with this, within few years after the completions of many hydropower which is in pipeline will surplus our demand of electricity. So the major concern will be towards balancing the productions and consumption of electricity in Nepal. So to solve the problem of the surplus energy, the government must emphasize its people to use the induction motor for energy security, electric vehicles, establishment of the different large and the small scale size industries and factories must be done, and government must work on to export the electricity to neighboring countries, and the establishment of the charging stations at different highways must be done, and similarly the taxes must be made feasible in every electrical devices and vehicles. Now let's see the taxation after yearly budget on electric vehicle. Here in 2077 and 78, after the successful removal of the load shedding in Nepal, the Nepal government, instead of encouraging the electric vehicle, they drastically increases the taxations on electric vehicle by 200%. Here we can see the custom duty has been increased to 80% and excise duty has been increased drastically, which shows the big unconcern and irresponsibility of the government. So this kind of the unsupportive behavior shows the big discouragement to the leading individual or engineers of Nepal in the field of electrical engineering. And after the huge criticism and the low import of the electric vehicle due to the increased taxations made the government to revise their policies of the taxations. However, the damage has been done. So this kind of the improper decision made by the government has become a major problem to the electrical engineers of Nepal. However, after the realizations of the error, the government has launched improved taxations after the budget 78 or 79, where we can see the friendly taxation policies as the custom duty has been decreased to 10% and so on as per peak power, and the excise duty has been decreased to the 0%. So this kind of the enthusiasm and support by the government must be there to provide encouragement to the electrical engineers in Nepal. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, it was good presentation. The information collected were very good. It was organized presentation. There were some technical issues. हैन अब यो इन्टरनेटले गर्ने बेलामा पनि त्यो हामीलाई त्यति समस्या छैन त्यसले अब युट्युब क्वाइट मोर टाइम देन साइन है साइन गरेको भन्दा तपाईले अलिकति बढी समय लिनुभयो त्यही पनि द इन्फर्मेसन गिवन वर भेरी organized and informative. Okay, thank you for the group.